If you follow at least one real estate agent on social media, you're probably seeing a ton of this kind of stuff right now. But what does it mean? Using phrases and buzzwords like it's a buyer's market right now, don't sell, buyers are at a huge advantage, can be good for driving engagement and views on videos. But at the end of the day, if you don't know what the heck these terms mean, you're just going to be more confused. In a couple seconds, we're going to dive into the numbers and I'm going to try to show you exactly what it means when we say it's a buyer's market. But all you got to know for right now is that across the entire Fraser Valley, yes, it is a buyer's market, meaning buyers are generally more in favor or more at an advantage than sellers are. And here are the numbers to back up all that. So here we are. This is the monthly stats package for the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Every month they put a stats package out, and it's basically all the numbers of what's been happening in the real estate market for the prior month. So if we scroll down here past the news release, what I wanted to show you guys first was just this all areas combined box. So this is sort of taking like a macro lens and looking at what's happened across the entire valley as a whole last month. And what I wanted to show you guys, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this quite clearly, but on the very bottom here, average price. For single detached, we saw a 0.4% decrease from February to March of this year. Moving over to townhome, 0.7% decrease, and apartments, 2.8% decrease in average price. And it's important to remember this is just average price. There are obviously listings that are still selling and for over list price. This is just across the board. I think it's a useful tool. It really just kind of shows broad strokes of what the market is doing rather than hyper focusing on any certain area. But don't worry, we're going to do that in just a second. So before we move on from all areas combined, one other thing I wanted to show to you guys and point out, I'm not sure if that's going to work. Okay, never mind. New listings here. So we saw 1,357 new listings in March for single detached homes. This is more than the month prior, February, 1,088, and more than last year, March, 1,122. So we are seeing more new listings coming onto the board with lower average prices. This shows that although things are coming onto the market, average sale price is still declining, meaning that there's a ton of inventory right now and not a lot is moving. To that point, we are seeing, at least compared from February to March, we are seeing a 19.3% increase in total sales. However, if you compare that year over year to last March, it is still a decline of 29.2%. Similar things are happening for both townhomes and apartments, again, across the entire valley. What does this show us, again, in broad general strokes, is that there's a ton of inventory right now in the market that buyers are basically free to choose from. There's not a lot of, I guess, incentive for them to act quickly, because if they lose out on one, there's 8 more homes available they can just go and look at an offer on. B, there's a lot of new listings, so a lot of homes coming onto the market for sale. This again is contributing to a buyer's market. There's a ton of inventory available right now on the market, and there's even more coming onto the market, meaning that buyers have absolutely no incentive to make quick moves. And C, just to drive the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, average prices are continuing to slide down across the valley. So if you combine record high numbers of inventory, new listings coming onto the market like crazy, but still we're seeing lowering average prices, this is sort of like a perfect storm to put buyers at a huge advantage over sellers. Okay, as I usually like to do with these market updates, I like to focus on the valley as a whole, just to get a macro focus, and then hyper focus in where I'm an area specialist in, which is in Abbotsford. And that's right underneath the all areas combined box. So here we are, and you're going to see pretty much exactly the same story repeated, with one minor exception, and that's all the way over to the right here. If you can see, average prices for apartments in Abbotsford actually had a spike of positive 4.5% from February to March. All of the other numbers that we just went over for the entire valley are pretty much exactly repeated here. We're seeing increased number of new listings coming onto the market. We're seeing total number of homes for sale still incredibly high. I mean, for single detached in Abbotsford, you can see right here in March last month, there was 451 homes for sale, 202 townhomes, 307 apartments for sale. And we did have triple digit increases for new listings as well. One final note just for Abbotsford here, we did see slightly higher numbers of sales from February to March. I mean, for single detached in February, there was 3 more sales for single detached homes. For townhomes, there was 2 additional sales. Not slumping numbers, but I mean they're basically even. For apartments, we did see a slight decrease, 48 in February and 41 in March of last year. Or sorry, in March. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you guys here is the sales to active listing ratio. This is a term that's thrown out a lot by realtors and even mortgage brokers across social media, YouTube. However, it's not really a term that's really very well explained, I find. So I'm going to try to do my best here. Basically, the sales to active listing ratio is a ratio of how many homes come up for sale in one given month as opposed to how many homes actually sell in the same month. That ratio of the two numbers is expressed as a percentage. And basically, the text is pretty tiny here. I'm not sure if you can see, but a balanced market is when the sales to active listing ratio is anywhere from 12 to 20%. So that's a balanced market, meaning buyers and sellers are kind of both equally at an advantage. Anything under 12% is a buyer's market, and anything over 20% is a seller's market. So just as a quick little example here, so everybody remembers back in the COVID days when prices were spiking out of control, it seemed like. 2021 to looks like about 2022 here, as this graph is showing, the sales to active listing ratio was approaching 100% at the height of it, meaning almost every single home that hit the market was selling. So this was a crazy time in the market, especially for sellers. Prices were crazy out of control, bidding wars on practically every single listing. And I mean, not even 1, 2, 3. So we're basically not even 3 because we're not all the way through 2025 yet. We've dipped down a crazy amount. We're at March month end, the sales to active listing ratio is at 11%, meaning for March of this year, only 11% of homes that hit the market actually sold. That's bonkers when you compare it to not even 3 years ago, 2.5. So this is all saying that the numbers are showing, and what we as real estate professionals are actually seeing in the day-to-day, that buyers are at a huge advantage right now. Okay, so in conclusion, basically, not to sound like broken record, but we are in a crazy heavy buyer's market right now, meaning buyers are generally at much more of an advantage than sellers in a real estate transaction. Now, this doesn't mean that listings aren't selling over asking price. We're still seeing quite a bit of that. And that also doesn't mean that properties are just sitting on the market forever. I mean, homes are actually still getting multiple offers and entering bidding wars. There's a small percentage of that happens in any market. It's just when we compare it to what was happening in the 2021, 2022 years, it's been such a massive shift that all the buyers that were maybe feeling a bit deflated, or they were getting a little fatigued offering on multiple properties, and unless they were willing to come up 100 grand with no contingencies of their offer, they weren't getting the home. All these people that have kind of taken a back seat and pumped the brakes a little bit, we're starting to see a little bit of these people start to enter the market again now that they realize the tides have shifted so drastically. In quick review, tons of inventory available on the market, even more coming onto the market for sale every month, and average prices continue to decline. Like, buyers are at such a huge advantage right now. They have their pick of any property basically, and if they don't get it, they don't care. There's 10 more out there that they can go look at an offer on and actually have a pretty good chance of getting it. I'll make it really clear, and this might be just what I'm seeing in my personal business. So if you're seeing differently, comment below and let me know. The homes that are not selling in this current market are being listed by sellers that are not willing to negotiate and, quite frankly, may not realize how much of a buyer's market they're in. I'm not saying that you shouldn't sell your home in this market. If you need to sell for whatever reason, hire a professional agent that knows what they're doing and can market your property accordingly. All that being said, if you're a buyer, you're at a huge advantage right now. And if you've been waiting on the sidelines for the last 2 or even 3 years for the right market conditions or interest rates to drop or prices to go down or whatever it is, Now is the time. The numbers say it, the news is even saying it, and any real estate professional worth their salt is definitely saying it as well. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you got some value from this video. If you have any questions, reach out to me, let me know. You can schedule a call with me using the link in the description. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt, and I'm bringing you down to earth.